So my name is Paul Ratchford. I currently work for the Cape Breton Regional Municipality as a police officer. And I've been volunteering since I was a youth at various organizations, but about 12, 14 years ago, thereabouts or more, I was a community liaison officer for the Regional Police Service, who was my employer, which gave me access to a lot of community groups. My job was actually to liaise with more. So I started with the ones that I knew, and I expanded. And it was kind of CBRM wide and a lot out of Sydney. And through that, I was able to facilitate a lot of changes, because oftentimes with groups, they're so busy running their own space, they don't get an opportunity to speak to others. One of my tasks was to work with a community office. And this community office, the one we're actually sitting in, was a space for adults to meet. Quite accidentally, because we had some computers in here that were donated by Alliant, quite accidentally, there were some kids from the area that I knew, and the kids were just kind of hanging around and said, he said, "We heard you have computers in here." And I said, "Yeah, we do." I said, "They're Y2K computers." I said, "This is 2008 or 9. I said, "Unfortunately, nobody can get them to work on the internet." I said, "Fair enough." So I stalled off with this young fellow. I said, "Look, once they get them working, we'll get somebody in." They brought out retired people to get them working and so forth. They never did get them to work. Well, of course, the 10-year-old said, "Well, look, can I try?" And I said, "Look, bud, go ahead, give it a try." Well, of course, after bringing technicians from everywhere, from various companies, current ones, past ones, retired ones, he came in 10 minutes later, he had it working. 3 out of 4 computers are working. When I finally asked the young fellow, I said, "So why do you want to use computers here?" I said, "Well, at the time in the library system, you could only book the computers down there for 15-minute blocks. And you weren't allowed to take siblings. A lot of kids, they travel with their family. The entire brood comes in. So the older child of the family is responsible for the entire brood. So it's hard to show up somewhere to do homework or to go online or on the computer in general when you've got 5 or 4 or 3 or 8 in some cases, kids with you. And that's why they wanted to use computers. At one point in my job at that time, I did a lot of meetings. So I'd have pre-breakfast meetings, after lunch meetings, mid-morning, so on. And I always had a bag of apples to keep me full. So I brought the bag of apples in and the kids fought over it. And I said, "Well, that's curious." So, gave them some more. Because what happened was this young fellow came in, brought his sibling in, they used the computer. Well, they said, "Do you mind if I bring a friend or two in?" "Sure, go ahead. We're here in the afternoon." So then a few more kids came in, they wanted to use the computer space. And when I brought this bag of apples in, they all kind of fought over it. So we got some more food, because I had a longtime volunteer at that time who became a longtime volunteer, who just started. And we brought some foods in, some more apples and some little bars, those little 8-pack of snack bars. And the kids are fighting over those. And it's like, well, this is curious. There must be something here. Obviously the kids are hungry after school. One of the kiddies, at that time, every time we had a meeting, they would always bring food, like a tray of veggies and fruits and so forth. And one little guy came in, he's about 7 or 8 years old, and he's just chawing down, because I had the veggie tray set up. He's just chewing and chewing and chewing. I said, "Dude," and he said, "What is this? This is awesome. This is the best I ever had. This is really good." I said, "That's celery, man." And he said, "What?" He said, "Yes." So "What is it?" I said, "Celery." I said, "You ever had that before?" "No, I've never seen celery." I said, and that was kind of the beginning of where things go. I've never seen celery. Now, anybody who cooks, that's one of the 3 things you use in everything you cook: celery and onions and carrots. That's basic for every meal that's ever made. So then the interest kind of changed. It's like, wow, how is this so? So then we started paying more attention, and that's led to what I call today the collateral damage of poverty. It became more apparent as we move forward, but it's now, that's what I call it, just collateral damages or lateral damage of poverty. The meetings with people who came here, we wouldn't book it in the afternoon when the kids would be here. So we kind of slotted 1 to 5 for kids, because they had nowhere to go. A lot of our kids are coming in, they had no socks on, a lot of them had no coats. We just assumed it's because they live nearby. Not all, but a lot of the kids were nearby. We'd just run up here, as only kids can do. So on grading day, we decided to do a little something for grading day for the kids. Now, we had no money. My boss, Tom, I asked for his corporate card. And he said, "Yeah, why?" He said, I said, "Well, I want to buy some fruits and veggies, and I'm going to do a barbecue for the kids. I'll bring my barbecue over, we'll set her up, and we'll do a barbecue, grading day. Have some dollar store prizes, a few little things like that, gift cards and such." So I bought lettuce, tomatoes, carrots, apples, oranges. Oh yeah, and I bought some hot dogs. And they were all baffled by why the kids aren't gonna eat that stuff. I said, oh yeah. I said, and milk. What do you mean? I said, okay, here's where the collateral starts to kick in. I did the barbecue, and some of our senior management and some neighborhood people, including the mayor of the day, came by to see it, and they were just stunned. The kids would come up, and you'd have chocolate, and you'd have chips and all that, but they would take like a piece of lettuce and put fruit and veggies, strawberries that we had as well, and they'd be going with it and coming back for more, and going with it, coming back for more. That was one of the first real introductions to the greater public, if you will, of the collateral of poverty. How do you do that? Well, how much is a 4-liter jug of milk or a 2-liter jug of milk? You can buy a 2-liter jug of pop for 88 cents. Guess what you drink? That same milk is $5 or 4 something. So that's where it starts to go. So a friend of mine who was running one of the local dollar type stores, he said his average was about 65% of what he sold in the dollar store. We always thought it was interesting novelty items. 65% of his sales is food. 99-cent spaghetti sauce, big bags of pasta, and so on and so on. So when you're living on a budget, a very restricted budget, that's how you survive. You go where the cheapest food is. Is it the healthiest? Absolutely not. But it's the cheapest. I know I had a volunteer here who, when she got married, she had a partner. I said, what was the most memorable thing about getting married? She said, I remember that after getting groceries, after we were married, it was the first time in years that I could buy a 3-pack of peppers. I used to save up to buy a green pepper because I would make pizza once every couple of weeks. But when I got married, I went in and got the 3 different colors because I could finally afford to buy a 3-pack of peppers. Well, there's also people who come up every day. They never leave their house, but they always have a coffee in their hand. And it's a large, or one of those, it's like a $4 drink. They don't leave home. They can't afford it. They make coffee in the house, but they sit on the step and have smoke because they want to look mainstream, just like everybody else. We all want to look mainstream. Nobody wants to wear something that doesn't have a brand name on it, and our kids are no different. When we get donations of clothes, they do not want brand name or a non-brand name cheap clothes. It could be brand new from any one of the big box stores that are worth $10. They want something that says something because they want to fit in with the rest of the kids. So we look at the collateral damages of it, and it's going back to that original barbecue and the kids going with the fresh fruits. Then I had a different view, and I was allowed in to see that, and I lived it with folks every day. And trust me, I don't live it. It's just revealed to me on a daily basis. One of the kids had an abscessed tooth. His parent was a recreational pharmaceutical user, very kind of an absentee parent a lot. And as a result, there was nobody to contact. We had to get that child there because it was going to burst. He was going to, have to go into septic shock. He'd be poisoned. We did manage to do it, but then we realized we got to do something here to get maybe some hygiene items like toothpaste and toothbrush. So think about it. If you don't have food in your home, what do you sacrifice? Food would be one of them. If you have an addiction issue, which is a whole different conversation, you sacrifice everything for whatever your addiction is. So a lot of these kids didn't necessarily have food, as we already stated, but what comes after that? So we gave out treat bags, and we had free little toothpastes and a brand new toothbrush and some little other treats in it, and like a $5 McDonald's thing, that kind of thing in it. But I remember there was a 12-year-old and 11-year-old girl here, and when they opened the bag, they went, oh my God, a toothbrush. And the 2 girls ran to the bathroom, and they started to brush their teeth. And we're staying there and doing our bit and watching them. I said, well, how come you said, well, she looked at her, she said, well, why are you brushing your teeth? She said, well, finally, my own toothbrush. And the other girl went, oh, I only started brushing my teeth last year. So they've not brushed their teeth their entire life. A lot of our kids used to believe that, well, you got a first set of teeth, a second set of teeth, a third set of teeth, and so on, because nobody told them differently. Interestingly enough, on the collateral damage side of things, housing and so forth will co-fund or co-opt to allow you to buy a washing machine. They won't fund you for a dryer, however, because you can hang your clothes up to dry in the basement, and I suppose on the back side of that is the bill will be subsidized because the electricity is subsidized and everything's here. So washing your clothes is one thing, but drying them is another. So a lot of our kids, their clothes aren't washed, they weren't washed all that often. A, for the cost, and B, there's nowhere to dry them. So that's a problem. So then we started getting more donations of clothes for kids. And I know one place I was at, I worked with a person when we had to remove them from their home. They left their home, but to say that. We went down their basement. There's about 1.5 feet of clothes in the basement. They never had a washer. All the clothes they were ever given, they would wear them until they wore them out and they retired them and throw them in the basement. So there was literally 1.5 feet of clothing stacked in the basement. There's a lot of quality clothing there. No ability to wash them. As an officer, we would take your child to work day. The schools would call and I would take children to work. And so I'd literally load up my van, 6 more people in the van, and I would take the kids with me to drive around to see what work was. A lot of our kids, their immediate family or secondary, or outside family didn't work necessarily. And there was no work to take them to. So I would literally take them to work. And I would show them about work. And that triggered another thought. If this is a reason to expose kids to what it can be, which is basically what we need in life anyway. If you can't conceive it, how will you ever achieve it? If you don't know it exists or something like it, how would you ever aspire to get there? Then a lot of what the youth center did, we wrote grants for everything that was experiential exposure. The prospect of what is. It doesn't have to be the same. So a lot of the kids here, we would do events outside. We would do homework help. We would work with some teachers or outside agencies to provide entertainment. So we'd have somebody come in who played music. They would come in and play music and teach the kids music. Some were doing art classes. So we had the outside community, that board that would meet now and then, who would provide this to expose kids to what is and what can be. A lot of the times when people come here to volunteer for a period of time, when they leave, they have to completely leave because it is so emotionally draining that you are becoming a de facto great aunt, if not a parent, because a lot of the kids will come in and hug you right away. They're so glad to see you. They're glad you're here. And you become the one piece of solid continuity in their lives, because a lot of kids don't have continuity. A lifestyle is always in some sort of havoc. Well, that's the kid's life. They expect that kind of chaos all the time. So we've had kids that would camp out in the step waiting for us to open because something happened at their house. I wasn't necessarily working that night, but something went on. They left home and they sat here until we opened because they had nowhere else to go. This was the place to go. Everybody in life needs a sense of space. We all have our spot where we go play hockey, we all go play basketball, we all go to Tim Hortons, we sit in the same chair, we go to the same spot and we shoot the breeze with somebody downtown, parking our cars or trucks, having a coffee, talking back and forth. So kids need a sense of space too. A lot of senses of space require funding. There are some other youth centers in this area, they charge for things they do. Pretty much every activity there is charges negligible, $2. Great. I don't have a toothbrush. I don't have food. $2 might as well be 200,000. And that's the issue that when I have my discussions with some of the other groups, they said, oh, we have a membership fee. Okay, but I have somebody who'll pay the membership fee. We want to add value. Okay, how do you feel that adds value? I'm here talking to you as another person in the group. I'm going to charge you $10. Does that add value to me, or do you want me to speak for free? If you lose focus on your clients, in this case kids, then you've lost focus on what you're doing. And one particular child here, she's never finished a book. So I sat down, we read it page for page, left, right, left, right. We went through the whole thing. She wrote a book report, her first one in grade 6. First one she ever completed. And she took it into school, and it was a day late. And the teacher, who probably should have retired long ago, wouldn't accept it. She said, no, it's too late, it's this. So the one opportunity that child had in 4 or 5 years of school was completely crushed by somebody who probably was crushed by somebody else. You lost focus on your client. When you lose focus on what you're doing, what you're there for, you got to start, you got to either kick back or leave. And a lot of people that volunteer here, they can't come back to visit, or they do it very limited. They'll come back for a special occasion because you really get sucked into it. Anybody who volunteers, you have all my love and appreciation, because once you get into that organization, you will take money out of your pocket, sometimes hand over fist. You will spend an inordinate amount of time to the cost of your friends and others to get things done, because you see the need, and when you see that need, it can be very difficult to escape from. So one of the things that we have to do to make changes is expose our kids to experience. So when you take your kids to Cubs, Scouts, Brownies, Guides, hockey, basketball, baseball, I don't care, flying lessons, whatever it is, it exposes them to the greater world. Point being, how many of you are from here, thought the greater world was a better place? You went to Halifax or away for a couple of years, came back and went, wow, it's pretty cool here. There is a bigger world out there, but it was nice. You needed that exposure to understand it. Same with our kids. If our kids who reside here, 3 blocks from the mall, have never been to the mall, how small is that world? How do we expose them? We put them in cars, we take them places. So let's say the school offers us a trip. Well, we're gonna take the kids skiing this winter. Well, that's great. I don't have socks. I definitely don't have a winter coat. Or if I do have a winter coat, it's last year's, it's too small. And if I get it wet, I won't have anything to wear to school tomorrow. And oh yeah, right, we'll provide them a box lunch. Well, box lunch, that's great. But all the other kids are eating this, and this, and they get a hot chocolate and extra stuff, so I stand out. So those kids don't get to go on these trips. We have donations such as, groups will say, yeah, we're gonna donate a week at our camp. It's free, it's $450 for a child to go, but we're gonna give it free. That's awesome, thank you. So we get ready to send the child, and we're getting ready, believe it or not, because the sponsors are here, and the day before our list arrives. What's this? Well, that child, if they're coming with a camp, look, we got everything ready, they're gonna have a great time. Here, they just need to have these things. They need 6 t-shirts, 2 shorts, 2 swimsuits, 4 pair of socks, a pillow, toothbrush, toothpaste. Okay, well, our kids have 2 t-shirts, and one of them comes up to here, it looks like a crop top, and they wear the same clothes till they wear out. They don't have socks, they definitely don't have bathing suits. 2 pair of sneakers? No, it's summer, there's no sneakers. That's for school. And a pillow. Our kids don't have pillows. What do you mean our kids don't have pillows? Well, it's like this. If you can't afford this, and you go through the pecking order, guess what? Pillows are the bottom of that rung too. So what happens is all our kids sleep on teddy bears if we get them. That's their pillow. The DFO, Department of Fisheries and Oceans, that nice building there, they come in to do a talk, and then they listened to us and saw what was here, and they went out and they actually fundraised and got 150 or so pillows. And then we thought that was great, we're gonna get pillows. They come back with pillow cases, shams, blankets, everything for the kids. Wonderful. Collateral damage, well, it's also collateral solutions. So we gave all the kids, we had about 120, 30, 40, 50 kids down at the fire hall for Christmas, our Christmas party. And we gave all the kids those things. They were so, just gobsmacked. But then we discovered another problem. If you take one pillow into the house, who takes it? Your brother, your sister, your mother, maybe if you have a father there, who takes it? So now, the next year when we gave out pillows, we got less expensive pillows. We bought them ourselves or got them through grants. And we go, okay, there's 5 people in this house, we gave 5 pillows. So what's the collateral effect of poverty? It goes this way and it goes up and down. What can you do to impact it? You have to think 5 steps ahead of where you are. And that's still not solving it, but it's what I can see and what I've been allowed to see. Somebody let me in to see. Because we've been here for 12, 13 years, one young lady who, she came from a home that's difficult. It's difficult, there's other family members that have chemical issues. There's others that have done jail time and so forth. So the home environment's tough, but the kids are tougher. And she is working, has a career. We employed her here when she was old enough to be employed on a summer grant through community services. And she came in as just a staff member. She was taught how staffing works, how employability works. We've done things with probation services where we employ people. We've done things with people who haven't been employed, they're 35 years old. So if you came to work for me today, what I would start you as, okay, this week, you never had a job, you're gonna start at 11 o'clock. Next week, we'll start you at 10:30. Next week, 10. So there's also a social responsibility in being here. And there are some challenging circumstances. When you come to this youth center, it's all about experience and exposure. We will take you on road trips. We will, not this year, unfortunately, we will expose you to what is and what can be. And if that means working here and teaching about work environment, how to open a bank account, lots of kids, they're 20, and now we have one young lady who's working here now. She came here when she was 12 and brought her 5 or 6 siblings with her. She works here right now at this time. God love our province recently because they brought back the dental program to age 16, thank God. And they're now, thank you very much, introducing pre-primary programs for 4 and up for all kids this year. They brought it up this year. Thank God. A lot of kids were just not school ready. If there's an addiction issue in the household, and it doesn't even have to be that, but it certainly punctuates it, but the child will arrive here literally catatonic and 4 and 5 years old. They wouldn't know what up and down was. Please and thank you, forget it. So we would actually teach basic structure. You have about 10 rules here. Red lines on the floor mean you don't go across. Stop, yes, no, please, thank you, be kind. You don't hit people, that's not the solution to everything because you didn't get what you wanted. We used to take our kids on a bus. We'd rent a bus through CBRM, we'd get a grant, and we took the kids and we take half kids and pick up seniors, because seniors and children here in society are the most marginalized. Seniors have more baggage. Kids are just starting out collecting their baggage, but they have very similar issues. They have bullying issues. If they're residing in an area, if you want to get into seniors, I did quite a bit of time on that. Almost same sandbox issues that you had as a child or in kids or in school. These kids, we took them on this bus tour and we went to see all the Christmas lights. Seniors thought it was great. We went around, we stopped at places, got out and sang. The people were just like thrilled that a busload of kids shows up and seniors and everybody's happy and singing. And then at that time, the freshly minted mayor invited us to his office in Sydney. And I had arranged it. We went in, he had pizza and hot chocolate and pop and stuff. So we went in there and he said, well, there's about 30 kids and 40 kids and about 20 seniors. And how many of you are from this particular area? And in this case, we'll say it's Clifford Street because that's what it was. And about half the kids were from Clifford Street. The rest were from other areas on the north side because a lot of our kids come from all over. And he said, oh yeah, does anybody live in number 14? And the child, 2 of them actually put their hands up and went, oh, it's me. I said, really? He said, how long have you lived there? Oh, yeah, good. Do you like it there? Yeah. Well, that's where I grew up. So all the kids were like, what? He said, see kids? And that particular man, it was our prior mayor, he went on into politics. He became an MLA, he ran for various things, and he was the mayor of the CBRM. It's not, regardless of his political stripe or what he did, it's the fact that he could and did go to that point in his life. And I'm sure he's not done still. But those kids went, whoa. And he wasn't bragging, he was just saying anything is possible. It's all about possibility. Open their eyes to see what can be done. See what others are doing. They always get after me because I don't keep cars very long. I said, well, I buy and sell them. I said, sometimes I lose money, sometimes I make money. I said, but it's the fact that I do it. I used to get free bicycles from the CBRM police, which I would auction off. Wasn't making money with it that much. Then I started fixing the bikes, and every year we do a bike clinic here. I fix all the kids' bikes, and I give them bikes, and we give bikes, and we send them all throughout CBRM. They learn how to fix a bike. That little lattice wall there, I was joking about that I put up years ago. I had everything pre-cut at home. I did everything in my, my little home workshop, got all ready to go up. Should take me a half hour. Everything was cut, it was ready to go. It took me about 3.5 hours to put that up because the kids were here. I had to explain what the tools were. I had to explain what the drill was. I had to explain what forward and backwards. I taught them all about righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, and on and on. And every child had to try it, even though there was only a few of them here. So everything we do, again, was a teachable moment for me, but that's a skill they don't necessarily have, because if they're in a single-parent household, usually women, they may not have an adult male figure in their lives. That's why I have big brothers, big sisters. So these kids would then learn these, let's call them soft skills, through osmosis or participating with people that are here. And by the various people who come and go through here, the various volunteers, they offer a different flavor. Because we've had people from all different backgrounds, all different educations, all different races, all different financial, mental health, or even criminal position backgrounds. They've all had issues, but they all brought their own flavor to it, and the kids all benefit. There's a poverty board meeting in Halifax, and I'm looking at, wow, not one of them has any understanding what they're talking about, or about half. Oftentimes it's people who are just propagating the positions they're in, or they have to speak to it. And be wary of statistics. Hard numbers and actual, just be there front line. Go talk to the frontline people. There's lots of them. They're usually the ones who are grossly or not at all funded, which we aren't. Go see those folks. If you're going to make donations, donate directly to your agency. That would help. Number one would be volunteer. Go spend some time. Because those people who volunteer, they always say you get more out of volunteering than you give. And it's true. It really leaves you feeling grateful. for where you are and what you've done. Coming into the Christmas season, you know, we talk about poverty. If you want me to close on one comment, there's something that we do at the Mayflower Mall called Shop of the Class. It's an annual event. It's been done for well over a decade. And every year we go, and what happens is that the Mayflower Mall merchants and the mall donates each child gets $100 to go shopping. Well, each child is picked at each and every school in CBRM Victoria School Board. And each child is picked by the school. And they could be usually in poverty, but not always. They could have had a bad year. Somebody could have passed, a parent or a grandparent or something. And they're having just like a bad year. Anyway, they select the child, and since we have amalgamated schools, they sometimes pick 2 or 3. And they are taken by a police officer in a police car, usually, over to the Mayflower Mall. There's a big party. There's, you know, hot chocolate, and Santa's there. And we walk through the mall. We do the grand tour of the mall. We've had a couple of local companies that donated extra funds. A couple of J&J and W, and there's three initials. And one year we had $350 for each child to spend. Now for a kid who's probably never had $20, $350 is a lot. We take them shopping, and when the officer takes them shopping, after they complete a craft, get a picture of Santa, the kids will go, first thing they do is say, well, I gotta buy something for my mom. That's universal. So they'll buy something for the mom. It's usually sparkly. It's usually a chain or something sparkly, sometimes smelling. And then they have to buy something for their baby brother or sister, because there's always a baby brother or sister. And then you have to pry money out of them to spend on themselves. They're not used to it. They don't know how, even though you got a list of what they need according to their mom. We take them back to the back end of the food court. There's some more food, but there's a wall, literally tables of prizes. And these tables of prizes are donated again by the mall, and they're usually the rare things. So a few years ago, there was a doll called LOL. It's still popular, but you couldn't get them. One of the local politicians was actually on vacation in Florida. He picked up some of them. But at this particular thing, the mall had a couple, and they had 2 gaming systems. I don't know which one it was, but you can pick whatever one you favor, but you couldn't get it. It was impossible to get 4 or 5 years ago. And not only did they have that, they had a couple of games to go with it, which again was impossible. Like, you couldn't get them. Every year it's that gift. And then they put a 32-inch flat screen with it. So it's like a $1,000 package at least, right? And they had 2 of them. And then they had like tablets and games and whatever. It's like thousands of dollars of prizes. And how that worked, when the kids all get back, they all get their name drawn out of a hat. But before that, they said, look, come on up, take your kid up, have a look so they can have an idea what they like. So every officer took their child up, and they all looked and went, wow, ooh, wow, ooh. We all sat down, they drew the names. Of course, I looked at it and went, oh, I know what I want, ha ha ha. Everybody does. The first kid got picked. He got a great big stocking full of stuff and a new jacket, and he got to pick. Well, of course, boom, beeline it right over. I want that. He picked the gaming system and the TV, and everybody kind of went, oh, there's only one left now. And there's like 40 kids there. It's like, oh no, my kid's not gonna get it. I really hope they get it. So the next one was drawn. This kid was like 12 years old. He was like bouncing off the walls. Like, he ran to get there. Next one was a grade 2 student, a little girl, very quiet, very shy. And she came over, and they said, okay, come on up, honey, come on. We ease her way through the crowd. And she walks over, not to where that was, she walks over here, we'll say the middle table. And she comes over and she grabs this little package, it's about this big. She said, well, honey, no. You know, there's an officer up there and some other adults. Said, no, don't you want the TV? Don't you want this? She said, no, I want this. She said, well, honey, she said, it was an $8 car blanket donated by McDonald Nissan. It was wrapped in plastic. You left it in your glove box in case you get stranded. She said, no, I want this. She said, but honey, this and that. She said, I don't need that. I don't have a blanket at home. I need this. Whew. That was the meaning of Christmas. Every adult there is like, all right, first world problems. That's what the kids call it. That's a first world problem. So needless to say, she was told, you can have the blanket, honey. What else would you like? And she just picked some other modest item because in her mind, there was nothing that mattered more than that. First world problems.